Smiling. So last. Hola Lara, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
Muy bien. Happy New Year. If we can still say that.
Huh?
If we can still say that, Happy New Year.
Yeah, I think we need to. You know, I've been worrying a little bit about the negativity and the fear that can cause there to be like despondence. Like I was talking, and this is recorded, but like talking to my daughter, and you know, she doesn't want to have any children now because she says, like, what's the point? You know, it's so bleak. And then I'm thinking, we might be overdoing it a little bit with the rhetoric and how global climate change is gonna, you know, be so horrible, and so people, so we might stop existing as a species or something. It's a little exaggerated, but no, we should say that. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm going to pin Saladana. Hey, Damien, Happy New Year. Can I ask a question? On the website, you know, we have a page for the Biblioteca. Do you mind if we put your like email maybe as the contact person on the website? Is that okay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you probably won't get many, you know, inquiries, but maybe once in a while.
It still needs a re-update.
Say it again.
I need to re-update things again. There's some new books.
Oh, good, good. Oh, maybe we need an updated picture too then. Because I have a photo of the, you know, the estante, the bookshelf. But maybe if it's fuller, we need to get a better picture. Hello, Denise. Feliz año. Welcome. So I'm going to try again to do this from my living room in San Francisco, but the last two times the internet has crashed, but hopefully not today. If so, then I got to run down into the basement where the router is and do it from there. It's not really a basement. Run downstairs. Maybe I'll begin just saying a few words. Welcome, first of all. We have been talking over the last several weeks about the 7 factors of awakening as taught by the Buddha. And we are on the Samadhi factor, which is the 6th factor. And this one we're going to, another translation of, one of the translations of Samadhi, probably the most common, is concentration. And another translation that I kind of like better, and I'm beginning to hear it more and more, is stillness. Stillness, right? Quietud, I think, in Spanish. And so we're gonna take it a little slow, kind of still. We're not gonna rush through it. It's so rich, and I think it's really might be one of the areas where Buddhism distinguished itself from so many other philosophies, religions, practices, is that it emphasizes the stillness of the mind as a path to awakening. You know, in the societies we live in now, it's more like the distraction of the mind is the path to, you know, happiness. You just need another this or another that, you know. In fact, I bought quite a few thises and that's here in America, where this seems to be the religion, buying this and that. And I think I spent probably 4 or 5 hours in Apple stores, right? Bought a new iPad, bought my mother a new phone. I was practicing the American religion. Consume, consume. But these devices, which by the way, I need to get my phone so I can time us. They do not produce concentration and they do not produce stillness. They might produce kind of a form of concentration when we're looking for our what is the one that the kids like Instagram or TikTok. Yeah, we're concentrated. Are any more messages coming? Right? You know, we're focused on it. But that's not the concentration the Buddha taught. It's a stillness where the mind is unified, as we will see, unified around stillness. But hold on, disculpame. I got to go get my phone. To be distracted. I should be fully honest. Besides buying an iPad, I also bought myself a new phone. I went from the iPhone 8 to the iPhone 13. Oh my God, it's like going from English to Spanish. I can't figure the damn thing out. You're supposed to like dislafe, right? You're supposed to, whatever this motion is. What do we call that in English? Swipe. We call that swipe. We're supposed to swipe. And I'm like, where in the hell is the button? You know, I keep pushing it and it doesn't work. Anyways, I think for the young people, unless you just have some natural wisdom to stay away from these contraptions, I think young people are even in a bigger hole, you know, have even more obstaculos, hindrances towards stillness than those of us who are pre-internet, right? There's not too many of us present today. Gore, I think, and me. Maybe that's it. Maybe one. I don't know. You know, they've grown up in a world of multitasking. You know, just constantly going from here to there to there. They don't even know what stillness is about. Okay, enough talking. We are going to meditate for 30 minutes, 31 or 2 minutes. Over, those of you in the room, over to the right are the first 4 steps of the Anapanasati. And I'm going to just kind of lead it in that way. And just simply that we know when our breath is long, we know when our breath is short. We're calming the bodily formations and, well, the 4th one, calming the bodily formations. Tranquilizing, you might say, the bodily formations. This is the one that I'm really hoping, this last one, that you'll be able to experience just a little bit of stillness, whether it's in the body or whether it's in the mind is not really that important. Wherever you can find some stillness, what I'm going to re-mention in the meditation is just try to pay attention to that, to whatever is still, and try to pay attention to stillness itself. So hopefully that will make some sense, and I probably won't mention that until we're at about the 20-minute mark. So hopefully we've created a little bit of stillness somewhere. So I will set our timer. First, I will ask, are there any questions or concerns? Everybody's on mute. Oh, there's someone named Indira. Welcome, but I'm going to mute you. I hope. Mute. Why aren't you muting? What the heck? Okay, well, that is weird. Hopefully it won't be a problem or I'll have to get rid of that person. Okay. So let's start off with finding your comfortable posture. Putting your attention into the body. Finding the body. And as a result, finding the present moment. Establishing mindfulness, awareness through the body, the first step, the first factor, the satipatthana, the establishments of mindfulness. And however is easy for you to feel your body, experience your body so you know it's here. And so now we go to the breath. The first two steps in the Anapanasati, the in and out, teaching on the in and out breathing, is to notice the breath. Notice if the breath is long, and you don't need to analyze it. We're not taking it apart, comparing it, but really just knowing the breath as it is. The second step is if the breath is short, knowing that the breath is short. So with the breath, you can follow it, observe it throughout the body. You can follow it, observe it at a single point, maybe the belly, the chest, the nostrils. You can follow it, observe it by its rhythm, not really focusing too much in any one part of the body, but just the general rhythm of breathing. And you can follow and observe it by its path. Breath coming in, the nostrils, through the chest, into the belly, and then back out. So the key is whatever is most comfortable to you, easiest, and maybe even pleasant. As we're going to talk about, the Buddha was very big on cultivating positive, pleasant experience. To help us on the path. And if neither the body nor the breath is especially accessible to you today, then you can use hearing or sounds as an anchor. But hopefully you can try the Anapana today as we use the breath and follow the Buddha's instructions of creating Samadhi, stillness. So we're noticing the breath, either the full body or an individual point, area, spot. Noticing whether it's long, short. You can expand the different variations, deep, shallow, fast, slow. Doesn't matter. We just know. We're aware. And when thoughts come, which they of course will again and again, we notice that. We're aware. Okay, there's thought. We let them go. We come back to the breath. Come back to the breathing body. Now, moving to the third step, we become sensitive to sensations in the body, bodily formations. It's often translated as sankharas. So we're still following the breath, we're still aware of the breath. And now we're also aware of any sensation in the body. We've expanded our awareness a bit. So even if you've chosen a singular spot, you can allow the bodily sensations to be known. Maybe it's slightly in the background or right alongside the breath. It's almost as if the breath fills the whole body, the whole form, the posture. Fusing, joining, unifying with bodily sensations. Might be tickling, flows of energy, points of contact. And if it's helpful, you might keep in mind the idea of relaxing into the body, into the breath, or with the breath, with the body. Just relaxing, letting go, feeling, not thinking. Now, going to the fourth step of the Anapanasati, mindfulness of in and out breathing. So we rest our attention, put our attention on the bodily sensations, and just allow it to stay there. Just feeling whatever is present without analyzing it, trying to change it, push it away. So calming, we call it calming or stilling, tranquilizing. But it's really just putting our kind awareness, our attention on it and just allowing it to stay there. Resting, abiding. The breath still present, but now a little bit more in the segundo plano in the background. You may find that resting your attention on the whole body in all experience at one time is easier, or you might find it easier to rest it on an individual sensation, an individual body part. Again, whatever is easiest. Whatever stills the mind, calms the mind down, quiets the mind. If you find that it agitates the mind, then broaden your awareness and relax. Relax. If there is still lots of thought, no worries. See if you can find the bodily formations, the bodily sensations associated with the thought. Nervousness, excitement, stress, tension, whatever it might be, and just be mindful of that. Allowing it to be, not pushing it away. So now, if we're lucky enough to have a little bit of stillness coming and going, but we notice a little bit of stillness, try to pay attention to the stillness. See if you can inhabit or abide the stillness itself. Paying attention to the qualities of stillness. Wherever it might be present. Hopefully in the mind, maybe in the body, maybe in both. Now, if by chance this is generating or you're noticing like a ticklish sensation in the body or a happiness or joy in the mind, shift your attention to those qualities and let them be the object of your attention. Not common in a 30-minute sit on a Sunday afternoon, but possible. Oh. Thank you for your practice. Let's re-inhabit the body as we did at the beginning. Just re-establishing an embodied presence, an embodied awareness, an embodiment. Finding your posture, probably noticing different sensations. And then bringing, if you're willing, bringing your attention to your heart space, to your chest, for a quick little metta practice, kindness, loving awareness, goodwill, and thanking yourself for your practice, for the goodness of your practice, for taking time out on this Sunday to take care of yourself and connect with yourself in this way. And then thanking the other people here with us today in our Sangha, physically in Saladana or on Zoom or YouTube, thanking them for their practice. And then extending this goodwill, this gratitude out in all directions, touching all of life. Offering a wish of goodwill to all beings. And then when you hear the sound of the bell, which we have a new bell, just noticing if anything arises in the mind, in the body, without judgment, just with curiosity. Thank you all very much for your practice, being with us today. I'm wondering in Saladana whether is it kind of cold or hopefully not. Okay, good. So, okay, good. So maybe I'll talk a little bit just about the meditation and this particular instruction, and then we can do a walking meditation. And I'm also very curious if anybody has any comments or any questions. Please just raise your hand or give me a wave or whatever. So it's interesting, it's just in terms of my own kind of development as to what to sort of follow. This Anapanasati, this mindfulness of in and out breathing, is very, you might even say strictly followed, closely followed by the Theravadan branch of Buddhism that many of the Western teachers like Joseph Goldstein and Jack Kornfield and Christopher Titmuss, that they have taught, but especially by the monks and the nuns, right, by the monastics. It's very closely followed. But out of that and kind of with that has come a secular mindfulness and variations on the secular mindfulness movement, of which some of my teachers or people I follow incorporate a lot of that, also neuroscience and so forth. And so then, the exact steps kind of get sort of, they're not followed exactly in that way. And I've been leading this group on Sundays for some time, where we're really focusing on an embodied presence, right? Just get into that body and try to stay there. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think so many of us, I know myself, I'm just from the neck up, right? It's so much in the head. Now, over these years, I've learned to get down into the body and feel. And the more we seem to know, especially in areas around like trauma, grief, sadness, various emotional modalities, psychology, we're beginning to really see how the body knows. The body stores all this information, even if we don't remember it. And so more and more into the body. But I thought, it's kind of like almost have to kind of pick one or the other. It almost seems like either we're going to go for a really embodied presence, we're really going to get down into the body, or maybe we follow this more traditional teaching that goes back 2,600 years of using the breath and the body together. And so I thought I would, for the remainder at least of the Samadhi, as we talk about Samadhi, I thought we would stick more with the breath, just because it does align itself more with the teachings. Now, having said all that, I've had some really interesting, first of all, just a couple of YouTubes that were referred to me, teachings, which are, I think that if there's one shining spot due to COVID, has been the proliferation of teachings that are available on the internet, right? on YouTube especially. And maybe they were always there. I just didn't watch YouTubes, but because of COVID and being confined to, not so much now, but anyways, I've gotten into the habit of watching these YouTubes, and there's just some fantastic teachings by monks and nuns that you can find on YouTube. It's like you could even just put in Anapanasati, and you're going to get a proliferation of possibilities on YouTube. And by people who are way more practiced than me. Like these monks, especially like in the Theravadan tradition or the Thai forest tradition, or, some of the Burmese and Sri Lankan traditions, they're meditating like all day. This is what they do. They are pros, right? They are experts. They are masters, right, at meditation. And so we can pretty much believe what they're saying, right? They not only have studied the suttas, but they've also put them into practice. And so that leads me to this interpretation or translation of Samadhi as stillness. Not so much concentration, but as stillness. So I when I was in Southern California, week or two ago, I met with a monk who I'm hoping is going to come back to Spain in the summer, COVID allowing, right? Sanata Vihari is his name. I actually met him in Saladana about 3 years ago almost. He was the very first guy to do a retreat in Saladana. Back then we just had the old terracotta or whatever it's called floor, and it wasn't painted and stuff like that. But a really just wonderful young man. He's Mexican American, so he teaches both in Spanish and in English. And I had a chance to go visit him in West Hollywood and visit his temple, and we talked a little bit about Samadhi. We talked about practice, and he very much emphasized stillness. Not that we're trying, not only, that we're trying to achieve stillness, sinoke, but that stillness is actually the object. And this is how I've been practicing ever since I developed this stupid nose thing. No, not stupid. You're fine. Happy nose. Is to just rest in the stillness. And if we're lucky, and if we're sitting long enough, that stillness will start to create a pleasant sensation called piti. Piti, which is also part of the 7 factors of awakening. It's an essential part of Buddhist practice. And it's been translated as rapture, which sometimes it can almost seem kind of rapturous. The way this one monk translated as euphoria. So one can also think of it as a very euphoric sort of feeling. I experience it as rather physical, not too much mental, like a tickling, just like this tingling. Tingling is probably a better word in English. I don't know if that's like hormigueos or cosquilleros or something like that, but it's a tingling in the body that can sometimes sort of like accumulate in energy, almost kind of like an orgasmic sort of a feeling. And this is not a bad thing. Buddhism is not at all about creating pain and suffering. It's the opposite, right? It's about alleviating and eliminating pain and suffering and cultivating positive mind states and as well positive body states, right? Like this piti. And so if you're lucky, you're sitting and it might happen just randomly where just a pleasant tingling starts to arise. Maybe it'll start in the hands. It might start in the face. It might be in the shoulders. The instruction is to infuse the body, to fill the body with this sensation, which we can do with our attention. We can pay attention to the piti. We let the piti become the object, the tingling. And then we can even kind of push it down into those areas of the body where it isn't, until the whole body is filled with this tingling sensation. And then we stay with it. Again, we're just resting our awareness with the sensation, not trying to do anything with it. It might sound like we're trying to do something when I say try to infuse the body, but you're really just directing it with your attention. You're using your attention to kind of direct it into areas where it isn't. Watch the mind states, watch the greed, watch the desire. Try to not do that. Just use your still attention to kind of move it around, and you just stay with it. Now, if you sit long enough and it stays present, what should happen and will happen is that you'll start to feel a joy in the mind. Literally, you'll start to smile, right? Whether you wanted to smile or not, you'll just be sitting there with a silly grin on your face. And it's not like Real Madrid won, or, it's not that kind of happiness, but it's more like joy, alegria. It's a very pleasant kind of happy state. And this is called sukha. Sukha. Now, if, again, you're lucky. Now, usually for me, and I'm an amateur meditator, but it takes me a bloody hour to get to that. Okay. I've got to review my whole to-do list and, plan out the week. And, I got to do all, it seems like every single time. And then I can start to get to the piti and the sukha. But generally speaking, within an hour, it comes. It's pretty reliable. Now, once you've got that happiness of mind, that lightness of mind, that joy in the mind, then we shift to that as the object. We rest in the joy. We rest in the happiness. We rest in this contentment. Now, if we're on retreat, where we've been doing, we're sitting now several times a day, and I wish for all of you to someday, if you haven't already, have a chance to go on retreat, to go on a 7-day retreat or a 10-day retreat or something like that, because normally after the 3rd and the 4th day, you start to see some really big differences in how easy the mind starts to concentrate, and how much faster these things arise, and how much longer we can stay with them. Now, beyond here is where my experience ends, and now I'm going based on, the teachings and experiences of others. But once that Piti Sukha is present, you'll get, and this has happened to me a couple times, where you will get a very focused unification of attention. You might even get what's called a Nimita, which is like a little light in the forehead area or whatever, and the mind just unifies around the object, and that level of stillness is so much more still than what we can possibly generate before that, right? Even the stillness in a 30-minute sit, there's going to be lots of activity going on. But once you get to that, and this is where I have gotten stuck so far, but I still have plenty of ganas to figure it out, and I intend to before I go, hopefully. Then you might enter into what's called the jhanas, the absorption states. And the Buddha said, we want to use jhana. Jhana is part of the path because it stills the mind so sufficiently that then we can really see clearly insight, the Vipassana. And this is the path to freedom. This is where the cessation of suffering comes, when we see things clearly. We have the insight, the clinging, the craving, the tanha that up until now has caused our suffering. We start to let that go because we see how impermanent everything is. We see how impersonal everything is. We see how imperfect everything is. And so we start to let go. So it's an essential part of the path. Now, last week I did talk about how, though, there are some that do what's called dry Vipassana, meaning they don't use jhana to achieve insight. And so this, even going back to the time of the Buddha, it was possible. And now in our world of distraction, with our crazy phones and stuff, maybe for many of us, me included, it might be that it's going to be the dry Vipassana path for us, where you can't see. Like this one friend of mine, he was in jhana off and on for a month, and he could see, after a month, he could see the impermanence of the trees around him. He could just literally experience how they were changing, the anicca, that impermanence of even his own body. I mean, it just was so much deeper. His realization, his insight was so much deeper after a month of jhanic practice. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Yeah, we have time for a little walking meditation. I just want to make sure, are there any questions or comments from anybody? Was that a hand or?
Yeah, I had a quick question, Jim.
Oh yeah, Gore. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned retreats, encouraging us to find one. Perhaps you can send them to me later. What would be a good one for a beginner to go into, which perhaps is not so austere? Because I met someone at Salanana who had been at Goenka, and of course she had to leave it halfway because it was too tough for her. So something not as tough, but something that could be a good one as a beginner. I mean, you can mention a few things. I think it might be of interest to other people too, but
Yeah, well, in Spain, unfortunately, and this was something, a project that I was thinking that maybe I should devote some time to, but there really isn't a good, there's no permanent place for retreat in Spain. There are retreats, for instance, oops, drawing a blank on his name. Give me 1 second. Jerome Lemarais, he does retreats periodically. Nacho is connected with a monk who comes from England in the Mahasi tradition, Buddhadasa, and he does occasionally once a year or so retreats. I think Isabel also in our group has brought over a monk from England and has done some maybe 5-day retreats. For a permanent spot, though, my big pitch is the Moulin des Chaves in the southwest of France. That's run by Martin Allward, and he's the teacher who I quote often, who's very much into the embodied presence. The problem, if it, for some, is it's a little more expensive, but I tell you, the food is worth the trip all by itself. I mean, the food is amazing. It's all vegetarian, might even be vegan. Vegetarian, I think. And accommodations are wonderful and so forth. And then England has a few places like Gaia House. That's where I first went when I first arrived to Spain. Wonderful teachers, the best, really that exist. So there are many options, and then the further you're able to go, of course, the more. The problem can be a little bit cost. But I will tell you that the intention of Saladana and the Dhanasati owner, so to speak, is to develop a scholarship fund. And one of our members was confused by the word scholarship. Scholarship is a monetary gift to somebody who needs some money for a given cause, right? And we plan here in the next couple months to have enough money to be able to give scholarships to somebody who really wants to go on retreat. So, I think it's that important. And if you don't have the means, but you have the desire, hopefully in a few months, Saladana or Dhanasati is going to have enough extra funds to be able to make a scholarship grant to somebody who wants to go on retreat.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I think we still have time. So
there is also the Goenka in Avila and Barcelona, I think. Which is
I think
but it's not our tradition, right?
He was asking for something a little less austere. He was wanting something not so tough as Goenka. That's why I was mentioning those.
Okay.
But yes, there are 2 Goenka retreat centers in Spain. The only country in Europe that have 2, by the way. But yeah, Goenka is tougher. I mean, it's 10 days, and the food is
Yeah.
Sleeping accommodations, but it's free. I mean, really, it's just Dana based. And you have to get on you have to sign up right away if you want to make it. During COVID, I'm not so sure, but it was like that. But absolutely, Goenka is phenomenal. It's good practice. It's Vipassana. It's, vale la pena for sure. Okay, how about a little walking meditation? I do need to end right a couple minutes before the hour, but I think we can walk for 5 minutes and stretch our legs, and then we'll talk a little bit more, okay? Oh, for those of you who don't know, I think everybody knows, but just in case. So with the walking meditation, the object now is our feet touching the ground. So we walk very slowly, feeling our feet, walk about a 2-meter path, turn around, very conscious of turning around, walk back and forth for 5 minutes. When thoughts come, you just let them go, come back to the feet. Okay, I'm going to walk to my legs. Need a stretch. Thank you for your practice. And sometimes I find the walking meditation to be such a pleasant break from the sitting, especially if you've been sitting a long time and the knees are starting to hurt or whatever. I can really feel that relief. It's like my legs are like, thank you. Which, going back to retreat, this wasn't the case at the Goenka retreat I went, but the retreats we do at Milan Deshav or at Gaia House or Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts, or Spirit Rock, you alternate between sitting and walking, sitting and walking. There's almost as much walking as there is sitting. And I think in the Thai, especially the Thai forest tradition, there is a lot of walking as well. So maybe just in the little bit of time we have left, I thought I would share screen and just show you a little bit of the chapter on Samadhi in the Joseph Goldstein Mindfulness book, which I love so much. Again, I just feel like his level of writing and talking about this is vastly superior to mine. So let's try to remember where we were last week. I think we were, sorry about that. Find it. Oh, we're way back here. Okay. Might be covering a little bit of what we talked about last week, but okay, so I just highlighted a few things that I thought were important. So we know this, that the Pali word for concentration is samadhi. And again, many teachers translate samadhi as stillness, quietude. And so mental factor of one pointedness, and this just kind of means with our attention to this, my hand, imagine my hand is attention, right? Our mind's attention, that we're able to maintain it on a single object without, getting too distracted. Now that object could be the whole body. It doesn't have to be just like a point on the nose, right? It could be the whole body. It could be all the sensations of the body. And it can also be states, mind states, emotional states, physical states. So it could also be stillness, or as we talked earlier, piti or sukha, these sensations of pleasantness and joy. The one pointedness can actually also be directed towards that. So he writes, on this one pointedness serves to unify all the different factors of mind on a single object, or see, he writes here, on a moment-to-moment changing objects. This is most of the retreats in the West, where again, we're used to, having a more scattered mind as we multitask, and it almost seems like multitasking is a good thing, they emphasize continuity of mindfulness. You've probably heard me talk about this because we often, in our normal Sunday 30-minute meditation, usually in the last 10, I will offer instructions on a continuity of objects. So that is, we go with whatever object is most obvious. Well, that's what he's talking about here. Moment to moment changing objects. I'll put that. Oh, didn't work. What happened? There it is. Sorry. So the second part of that sentence, moment to moment changing object. So it doesn't have to be on just one thing where you're drilling down. It can also be on your changing experience. When one pointedness is strong, we are undistracted, and we feel this non-distractedness as peace, both in our meditation practice and in our lives. Okay, this is something the Buddha said, which I had this new system where I want to go blue when it's the Buddha. So he says, the mind, hard to control, flighty, alighting where it wishes, one does well to tame, right, enfrenar. The well-trained mind brings happiness. This is so unique, I think. I mean, I'm just not sure of, I kind of like compare Buddhism to other alternatives like Christianity or Islam or whatever. And I'm not sure, they might, I don't know, but I don't think they say that a well-trained mind brings you happiness or a well-trained mind will bring you to the gates of heaven or whatever. In Buddhism, this may be why it isn't really a religion, because it doesn't talk about God and saviors and stuff like that. It says, train your mind and you will be happier, right? So it's really, it's more of a training, a bhavana. Oh, he uses the word right here. So in the next yellow part I highlighted, the Pali word for meditation is bhavana. And it literally means causing to be developed. I've also heard it translated as cultivar, cultivated. So causing to be developed or cultivated. This is really what we're doing with our meditation. And like an interesting metaphor is to grow wheat, let's say, to grow some kind of crop. You can't just look at the dirt and hope that wheat is going to grow all by itself, right? We have to do certain things. We have to plant the seeds, we have to water it, we have to make sure that the weeds, which in this case would be the hindrances, don't soak up all the nutrients so that the wheat can't grow. There's certain things we have to do. We have to cultivate, right, the earth and plant the seeds so we can have wheat. And it's the same thing with our practice. So he writes here, down here, 2 types of concentration that help settle that flighty mind. The first is fixed object concentration. This is when we keep the mind steady on a single object. So this would be like the breath. And this is the type that can lead to the jhanas. And then the second one is, see if I'm going to take this one out so you can see it more clearly. And then I'm going to put a strong one pointedness directed to changing objects. This is the second type. And where this is really useful and important and probably the most challenging thing for me, but it's in our daily lives. So for instance, doing the dishes. This is one of Thich Nhat Hanh's favorite examples where we can be mindful while doing the dishes, where we're mindful of our changing moment to moment experience. Maybe picking up a plate, using the washcloth to clean it, rinsing it, putting in the rack. We can have a moment to moment chain continuity of mindfulness. And this also can lead to samadhi. It can lead to this pleasantness of mind, this peace. And I'll tell you, this is one of my biggest struggles is doing the dishes. My habit had been, okay, I'm going to plan my day while I do the dishes. And every time I'm present with doing the dishes, I notice how much better it feels while doing it and afterwards. I mean, it's not even close. When I plan my day or worry or think about something else and I'm not paying attention to the dishes, almost always I feel stressed. I feel tension. I feel contracted. But if I can just be with the plate, be with the water, be with the rag, be with the process, oh, what a difference. So this is one we can bring with us. Obviously, if you're just focusing on one thing, very hard to do your day-to-day tasks. You still need to go to work, you still need to go to the bathroom, you still need to go to bed. But this second one we can do no matter what we do. Lo que sea, we can do it. Okay, I think my daughter, I have to take her to the airport here in a few minutes. So I'm going to stop right here for next week. Let's see, maybe I'll put this in pink and then I'll know where we stopped. So before we end with a little metta meditation, is there anybody who has a question? And it could be about anything, even your home practice or something to do with Saladhana. No? Okay. So why don't we end with a little metta practice. And for those of you who don't know, this is where we use phrases, wishes, deseos, for ourselves and others to cultivate, it's a bhavana, to cultivate goodwill inside ourselves. So we'll do 4 groups: ourself, somebody we love unconditionally, we call a benefactor, somebody we might have a little problem with, a difficult person, and then all beings. Okay, so again, I often put my hands on my heart space, my heart area, and I'll offer 4 different phrases, and you can say them to yourself mentally. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. Ease. Sometimes translated as sukha, that happiness. Okay, so now we'll do the benefactor. So try to bring to mind somebody you love or somebody you admire without any resistance. Could be even a public figure or a pet or great grandparent. Bring that person, that being to mind. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now the difficult person. So maybe bring to mind somebody you're having a little difficulty with, maybe a resentment, maybe a little hurt. Nothing too serious. Bring this person to mind. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And all beings in all directions, without exceptions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. And then finally, to end our session today in the spirit of renunciation, letting go, generosity, let's give it all up. The fruit of our practice, the teachings, our Buddha nature, our Sangha, offering this up to the benefit of all beings. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence, discrimination, racism, coronavirus. And may all beings find their steps, find their path towards the cessation of suffering, towards freedom. May all beings be free. Thank you all again. Thank you for coming. Just a quick couple announcements. One about dana, which is another Pali word which can be translated as generosity or giving. And this is the experiment of Saladana is offering all of our classes, or however you want to call them, sessions, groups, sanghas, without charge, from our hearts to yours. And you guys can also do the same. You can, those of you in Saladana, if you could help clean up, and also, if you see something out of place, somebody maybe accidentally left a water bottle or something, you could just kind of pick it up, keep it nice and clean. It's really meant to be a space for all of us, right? Like our home. And you can also leave a financial donation. There's a box in the entrada there where you can make a donation towards our expenses, and anything is appreciated. And you can also do it online. We now have a bank account. You can do a transferencia, or you can do BISM. And I believe there's on the bulletin board, there's information, and also on the website under Donativo. And we now have, we've had for some time now, I think there's 19 meditation and yoga classes, including, I believe, 3 or maybe 4, I don't know, by Jose Manuel. But just check our website. We now have a really great website manager, or whatever you call that person. And so our website is up to date. The calendar is up to date. And I will be here, I think, again in California next Sunday, but I hope to leave the following Monday, work my way back to Europe. But so I'll be here online, and I hope to see you guys online. Jose, do you have anything you'd like to offer or ask or say, or?
No, only just to say thank you to you for the meditations and for the Dana talk. So for me, nothing more. I don't know if anyone here want to say something or whatever.
Well, thank you, Jose Manuel, and thank you for your teachings. He's got a great Saturday intensive group that probably will get you closer to Piti than 30 minutes on a Sunday. Nacho, anything to say? You're good? Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you again next week, and have a really good week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.